Hey everyone, let's dive right into today's explainer. We're looking at an incredible first-hand account from a 20-year veteran software developer who did the unthinkable. After 18 months of being completely immersed in AI coding tools, he made a radical choice. He walked away from it entirely. And I mean entirely. No AI for coding, no AI for anything else in his life. Today, we're breaking down his fascinating audio reflection, and it really uncovers something the tech industry is desperate to ignore: the cascading, hidden costs of artificial intelligence. So you've got to wonder, what drives a seasoned pro to say, I just can't go another day using these tools? Why risk your livelihood and potentially face obsolescence just to abandon AI? Well, to understand that, we have to look at the massive, unseen costs lurking just below the surface of this whole AI revolution. As we're going to see, it really wasn't just about the quality of his code. It was this toxic combination of severe deskilling, a total loss of purpose, and frankly, a horrifying realization about the physical toll AI takes on our actual planet. Now, his journey didn't just happen overnight, right? It started back around 2023 with some healthy skepticism. He actually watched an AI chatbot literally make up a fake version of a software dependency, claiming version 4.6 would fix a bug when, guess what, 4.6 didn't even exist. So he wrote it off. But then, fast forward to spring 2025, and corporate management dropped the hammer. They mandated AI use. Use it or get left in the dust. So he committed. By mid-2025, he was deep in what we call the agentic era, heavily relying on agents that write and change code entirely on their own. He felt that initial rush of getting more done. But by early 2026, he hit a definitive breaking point. Let's start by looking at the micro level. What actually happens to the daily grind when AI takes over the keyboard? This is where that shiny initial promise of AI, this massive productivity boost, really starts to fracture. You end up shipping way more, but caring a whole lot less. Just think about the sharp contrast here. On one hand, you have almost 2 decades of care, skill, and this deep, intimate understanding of how the software operates. That's traditional coding. But then you look at the AI era. The developer found that because he wasn't the one actually writing the code anymore, he didn't really understand it. He wasn't struggling through problems, so he wasn't learning or growing. And honestly, this created a profound apathy toward the final product. He cared significantly less about the software he was shipping, simply because it was just this massive volume of unverified text spat out by a machine. So the crucial takeaway here is that this illusion of speed actually triggers a massive cascading failure. Let's walk through how this happens. First, the AI generates massive volumes of code, super fast. Second, because there's so much of it, doing a meaningful code review becomes practically impossible. You're trying to spot risky lines in thousands of lines of machine output. Third, this inevitably leads to feature bloat, which makes the software slower and harder to use. But the fourth step, that is the most alarming. The developers themselves become completely de-skilled. They morph from actual craftsmen into glorified QA testers. If the AI system goes down, these developers haven't done hard manual programming work in months or even years. He described it perfectly as looking for a needle in a haystack. This idea of distance is a huge recurring theme in his experience. When you constantly hand off the implementation to an AI agent, you become distant from the code. You completely lose your grip on how the codebase is shifting. But here's the thing. AI doesn't just distance the programmer from their code. As we're about to see, it actively begins to distance us from our own reality. Because this distance, it doesn't stay confined to the computer screen. It actively bleeds into the human experience and our personal well-being. And when the illusion of AI as this flawless, helpful assistant finally breaks, it can be incredibly jarring. A perfect example of this broken reality is what we can call the ER incident. One night, the developer woke up sick with some pretty concerning symptoms. Now, instead of talking to a human, he engaged with an AI chatbot, treating it almost like a trusted conversational advisor, which, let's be real, a lot of us do these days. While the AI confidently told him to go to the emergency room immediately. So middle of the night, while his family is asleep, he drives to the ER. After sitting there for 2 hours, a real medical professional finally sees him and basically asks why he's even there. He just needed to go home and rest. He left feeling so ashamed and embarrassed. The AI sounded so human, so authoritative, but it was completely detached from physical reality. That humiliating ER visit was a major catalyst for him. When you combine that with the professional de-skilling, the deep apathy toward his craft, and this heavy, lingering existential dread, asking himself, what's the point of my job if I'm just feeding prompts to a machine? The entire illusion shattered. Being 3 times more productive on paper definitely didn't equal better software, and it absolutely didn't equate to a better human experience. And this brings us to what might be the most crucial part of this entire explainer. We need to zoom all the way out from the computer screen to the planetary level, because the ultimate breaking point for him wasn't just bad code, and it wasn't just personal dread. It was the devastating physical toll AI is taking on our environment. The stark reality is that the cloud isn't magically floating up in the sky. It's built on the ground, and it is incredibly thirsty. Every single prompt we type, every auto-generated line of code, extracts a violent, physical cost from our natural resources. Our developer had this realization that there is an incredibly scary amount of water being used just to sustain these virtual, everyday interactions. Let's actually break down this environmental drain because it is staggering. First up, the massive water usage. Generating just a handful of AI emails can consume a full bottle of fresh water just for server cooling. To put that into perspective, it's absolutely massive at scale. Second, training these giant AI models demands an immense drain on physical resources and energy. Third, these humongous data centers aren't built in a vacuum, right? They are physically located in real communities, and they are actively damaging local waterways. And finally, you have the hardware supply chain. The AI bubble is physically sucking up everything in its path, hoarding global RAM supplies, and driving up the costs of everyday computer components and game consoles. We love to treat AI like it's just weightless software, but its appetite is entirely physical. And this brings up the ultimate danger here: abstraction. Tech companies keep this massive environmental destruction completely hidden from the everyday user. I mean, if you're just typing a question into a sleek, clean chat box on your screen, you don't see the local waterways being drained to cool down the data center. It's so easy to just put your blinders on. But once this developer realized that his daily quest to write code slightly faster was actively harming the environment, degrading society, and ruining his own mental health, he just couldn't unsee it. So, faced with the stark reality of awful, bloated software, severe personal deskilling, and this devastating environmental damage, our developer made a really radical choice. He chose to reclaim his craft. He stepped entirely off what he calls the AI hamster wheel. The AI path was stunting his professional growth, reducing his 20-year career to just blindly checking boxes, all while carrying this heavy weight of environmental guilt. So he went back to writing code by hand. He actually started making small game engines just for fun, and almost instantly he felt better. He reconnected with the actual joy of his craft. Sure, it might be slower. It might be a lot harder to figure out complex issues. But that struggle, that is exactly how we humans learn, grow, and find genuine purpose and satisfaction in our work. Which really leaves us with a critical question as we navigate this crazy new era where AI tools are practically mandatory in so many of our workplaces. Is this trade-off actually worth it? Is the illusion of shipping more code, or writing more emails, or generating more content really worth deskilling our human workforce? And even more importantly, is it worth the massive, hidden environmental cost, the millions of gallons of water and all those strained local ecosystems? Ultimately, this developer's story serves as a powerful reminder of the profound value in human care and deliberate craftsmanship. I mean, he was willing to risk getting fired just to protect his sanity and stop contributing to the environmental drain. It challenges all of us to protect the physical world we actually live in. So it leaves us with a choice. As we march further into the future, are we going to build a world optimized for AI agents, or are we going to keep making things by hand for humans?